hosted by Mike, the Big Cheese.
Hey Mick, this is Mike. How are you?
Hey, how you doing?
It's good to talk again, man. How you been?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm even more happy that, we're getting brand new music by you guys. I mean, not that we have to wait long anyway. There's never really more than a 2-year wait for new music from Corners of Sanctuary, but the new album, wow. I mean, it just blows everything away that you've done.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So, like I was saying, every 2 years, maybe 3, there's a new record by the band, which is impressive in this day and age because a lot of bands have trouble coming up with the money to record, going into the studio, keeping a lineup together. How do you manage to keep all this going all these years?
Well, I mean, I like writing. I mean, I'm the primary writer. However, the band has collectively gotten more involved in the core of the songwriting. I mean, the music altogether becomes a Corners of Sanctuary, a whole band unit, because everybody puts their stamp on it. But, kind of that initial nucleus of it usually starts with me. But I enjoy doing it. The band enjoys writing. We create music. That's kind of what a band, I mean, I always looked at it, that's kind of what a band has to do, right? I mean, like if I was a soccer player, I would have to play soccer, I'd have to train, I'd have to, practice and all that. It's the same thing with music. I think that keeps it fresh, and then if you really do enjoy it, I mean, really, in this day and age, and being that most people are just kind of indie artists to begin with, we're definitely not doing it for the money, so we're doing it for it, and I think that's where it provides that opportunity for us to stay creative. The other flip side of the coin is, because we are independent, we don't have record labels breathing down our neck and saying it has to be this way, you have to do it this way, you have to do it. It gives us an opportunity to just kind of develop, and I feel that this band's sound is maturing with each album, which I think it should be. I mean, we still retain what I feel is a Corners of Sanctuary style and sound, but I think it's evolving, and it's maturing, both in its composition and its songwriting texture. So it just goes back to that we enjoy doing the music.
You can see that. I mean, it's hard to believe 20 years next year the band will be around. I mean, it feels like it was just yesterday, but it's been 2 decades. It's incredible.
Yeah, well, James and I have been playing a very long time together, since the 80s. So we've been working on different versions of the music, I'd say over these years. But in my opinion, for this band, though we've been able to reach some time here, I really feel that the band started coming into its particular sound and style at the tail end of our Metal Machine era, and as we moved into the Galloping Hordes. And this album, Heroes Never Die, is kind of like a continuation of the Galloping Hordes. Like, we were on to something. Some of the songs took origin during the writing and recording of Galloping Hordes, so there is a continuation, so to speak. So I think that, I still feel like everything is still so new and we're so young in terms of developing the music. So, we're not really looking at it like that, though it is a milestone to achieve some time in the business. But we're looking towards the future and hoping, we got a lot more years ahead of us, as they say.
No, yeah, it's funny because I love when people say you're that new wave of American metal. But you've been around since the 80s doing this with Seeker. I mean, and last year Heaven and Hell record, re-released the Seeker record. So a lot of people that didn't hear that or know from that back then got a taste of what that was all about now. But you've been doing this since the beginning. So I find it funny people think you're a relatively new band, maybe band in name, but you've been doing this for decades.
Yeah, it's one of those things. You're doing it because you really do love the music. You're connected to it. The music is part of you, and you're part of the music, or your own individual music, so to speak. So, yeah, there's some exciting stuff to it. Some of that stuff from back then, that sound, that style, I'm drawing from that. That's my roots. I feel that I can't just kind of throw it away, and that's how I can be true to both myself, my playing ability, and the music that I want to bring out. So yeah, it's just, for me, it's always just been a continuation, and I'm feeling that I'm developing
Yeah. The first album with RFL Records, I mean, how did you come about getting that deal with the label?
Well, we had planned, like 2020 was our plan to have the new album released, and we were on Killer Metal Records, prior to this. So the schedule was, hey, we were going to release an album this year, and we were going to do some touring and finish up the album, get it out. Well, with the pandemic happening, we got to the album sooner than we expected to finish up on it. So we finished up, we delivered the album. Unfortunately, the pandemic worldwide caused economic problems everywhere. Germany was having problems. Our label pretty much went into hiatus and wasn't going to release the album. They were kind enough to release us and said, hey, do what you need to do to get the album out there. So through a mutual acquaintance, we made a connection to RFL Records, and we started talking, and they were on board for what we were trying to achieve, our style of music and all that. We were also happy to be with a label that's here in the States. To us, that's pretty exciting because we've been with German labels and foreign labels most of this band's career. So they liked what we had. We had a completed album. It was pretty much turnkey at that point. So we decided that we did basically a 90-day and aggressive pre-promotion for the album to release, which it released last Friday.
Yeah, you just mentioned the pandemic, and it's funny because a lot of people, focus on that bands aren't able to get out there and play live right now because a lot of venues, you just can't have a show anywhere, and it's, trying to set anything up over the course of the country or the world is almost impossible today. But I don't think a lot of people realize what you just said, that the labels are having a hard time too because people are out of work, people don't have money, they can't buy albums, and I don't think people realize how that could affect some of the labels that aren't like, Atlantic Records or Sony or CBS that don't have the money to survive it. I think a lot of labels are going to be struggling too, like you said, as well as the venues and the live front.
Oh yeah, it's a trickle down effect. It's a domino effect. I mean, the labels are suffering, the artists are suffering, the venues are suffering. Everybody associated within the industry, sound men, engineers, studios. Everybody's, and then of course the audience, the fans are suffering too because I don't know what the numbers are. I know they've decreased in terms of what the unemployment rate is right now here in the States, but that's just crazy numbers. That's that means everyone knows someone who's been affected financially from this. So it's the first thing to go, right? When problems hit, luxury items are the first things to go. So yeah, music's taken a hard hit, but it is really at this point. I feel it's the artist's responsibility now to just keep things going the best that they can. Just stay connected. If it's a single, if it's an album, if it's just some acoustic stuff or online streaming or whatever, I think it's just as important right now to stay connected because people need that diversion. Artists need that focus to keep their music alive, to keep their career alive in some regards, at least keep their name out there to stay relative. But I think the audience needs that too. They need that hope. They need to know that, hey, other people are pushing, forward, doing what they love to do. Maybe, we should too. Because, these are, listen, it's been turbulent times these past 8 months, not just with the pandemic, but with everything else surrounding it and following it. So we need as much positivity as we can.
That's so true. I think bands and musicians over the last probably 2 decades or better have had to reinvent themselves on as far as like the management, the marketing, and the business part of being in a band goes. Going from where people were buying albums and CDs, and then it was digital, then it was the free downloading, the illegal downloading, going back to records. Bands always have to reinvent the way they do business to keep that brand and that product going. With this pandemic now, is this just another way of having to try to reinvent how a band stays relevant and active?
Oh, absolutely. Listen, when we had to learn the whole digital marketing thing. We had to learn digital recording. We came from an analog generation. We were still doing analog, and it was just like lugging a dinosaur around. So that took time. We had to get used to the social media stuff. That's being from a generation that we just used to put up flyers and send things through snail mail and actually pick up the phone and call people. That was a whole new much shaken up everybody from top to bottom. What are they going to do? You know, especially bands. Listen, the meat of what we do, like as much as I enjoy writing, we can't be releasing stuff every day. We have to get out there and bring the music to the people, right? There's nothing that replaces that personal connection, that in-house live connection. And that's kind of the meat of what this band does and what many other bands do. And that's been pretty much taken away from us the past 8-9 months. So, you know, because we were in the UK when the travel ban and the pandemic hit here in the States. So we had to cancel the remaining part of our UK tour. Our flights were canceled. We scrambled for 27 hours to find the last flight out of the UK so that we wouldn't be stuck there for months. Not that it was a bad place to be stuck. You just, when times like this, you'd rather be home. And besides, we couldn't play anywhere after a few shows. So, yeah, we had to, you know, come up with different ways. Now, I mean, a lot of bands are starting to give even more stuff away for free, especially during the early stages of the stay-at-home order. The only problem with that is that people then expect everything to be free as follows. It's going to be hard to get people to want to help an artist continue on financially if everything's being given away for free. You know what I mean? So we'll have to find some new ways to do it. We've been doing some online streaming stuff. Some of it's been well received, some of it hasn't, simply because the technology, as advanced as it is, we're still having some latency issues and some bandwidth issues and connectivity issues and stuff like that. So I think that if this continues, the big boys are going to probably have to push some technology things. I do know that there's some online event streaming companies popping up now, you know, so they can sell, like, you know, $25 tickets to see your favorite artist perform on a full-blown stage with effects and, you know, so who knows?
Yeah, that could be. I mean, I just paid to see the band Torch from Sweden. They had like the record release party, and they did a show, and I paid for the live stream to go watch that. And it was pretty decent the way it was filmed and the quality of it. I find it funny because, you know, when things were good and bands were out playing every night, you know, all over the country and all over the world, people are like, I'll catch them the next time they come. I'm not going to go to this show. And, you know, sometimes it's hard to get people out to the clubs. I have to tell you that. I'm hoping that after this is over, people say, you know what, I'm not going to lose that opportunity again. When the band comes to town, I'm going to go out and see them, you know. So maybe in a way, a year from now might be better because bands might be able to pack clubs again because people aren't going to waste that opportunity.
That's right. So you may start seeing, unfortunately, a lot of venues have closed permanently during this time, but what you may see is that, like you're saying, concert sales will go up. Even the smaller venues will start packing house again. They'll kind of be like the old days back in the 80s when every event, regardless if it was at the Spectrum or at the Tower, the Tower or even the Empire or whatever, they were packed because bands are going to be looking for a place to play and fans are going to be looking for seeing their favorite acts.
That's true, and I always say that. When I was a kid, I was going to, you know, I lived in Brooklyn, New York, so Lemoore was like the rock capital over there, and everybody that came to America played at Lemoore back then. And it didn't matter who played, if it was a Wednesday night, a Friday night, it could be local bands. It was always packed. We went out to see every band that played, even if we didn't know who they were. And back then, you really didn't because you didn't have the internet. You didn't have all these magazines, public, you know, telling you who they were. You just went to go see good music, and that's how you became a fan of more bands than going to a record store and buying a record by a band that you never heard of before.
Right. That's how we discovered music. You're absolutely right. I remember, you know, like when I was underage, you know, the Empire Rock Club here in Philly, you know, Sunday nights, that place was packed. Now you go to any venue, any club, you know, non-national type thing, but you go to any like venue, small venue on a Sunday night, you're lucky you get two people coming in to watch a band. So, but that's the difference in the time. So maybe this may be a positive thing at the end of the rainbow for both bands, venues, and the fans, because that means you're going to get more bands coming through that area, more bigger name bands coming through, which then just helps the economy of the local artist, right? Gives them more exposure time, the opportunity to make their brand more aware to the local audience. So yeah, there may be some positive here. At least that's the way we should look at it.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, is it too early to start even thinking about doing anything next year on the live front, or do you kind of have to start making plans? Because I think when you open up again and they start, I mean, right now it seems like they're heading back in the other direction again, but when they do, I mean, there's going to be a gluttony of bands all looking to book to get out and play live, book tours, book shows, and on top of that, like you says, we've lost so many venues, and who knows how many more we're going to lose. Is it going to be difficult to try to even get out there when everything opens up again?
Normally you're right. We usually start having the first and second quarter taken care of with plans going into later in the year. By this time, we had tentatively scheduled. This was back in August. Tentatively scheduled to go back to the UK in February. We had 10 days already booked out. However, everything's been put on hold, and some of these venues may not even be there when the new year rings. So we're kind of holding tight right now. I mean, we talk to people, we keep the kind of lines of communication open, but we're just, I mean, really, it's almost impossible to plan. Now, there is a lot more online streaming events starting to happen. I know we're involved in one for November 6th. We have another one that's happening December 12th that, we'll have some footage available, during that stream of us performing. But right now, that's the best that we can offer. Until we get some, I mean, we had some shows booked for the fall here, but they've been all canceled. And every state's different. I mean, I'm here in PA, you pretty much can't do anything. Where Delaware is a little bit more open, and they have, but open, but with certain restrictions. So you're kind of, it's kind of hit or miss,
Is it worth even to try to find those places and those clubs that you can't play at, knowing that if it could hold 50 people, maybe now you only got like 20 in. Is it worth even the attempt to go out and try to find these places and play the show? Or is it better just to kind of ride it out and wait till things kind of get back to normal again?
Well, we're gonna ride it out the best that we can. We have talked to some bands that have been playing some of these shows, and they've expressed their excitement or appreciation for the opportunity to be able to play again, but they found it not to be anywhere close to what anything was like before. Fans can't approach the stage. There's such a, so many restrictions that it actually is taken away, and they weren't sure they wanted to continue it. So, for us, I think we're going to wait it out a little longer. I think we're going to explore some more of these online festivals, at least to keep ourselves out there. Believe it or not, we're actually working on some new material. Our album had been done for a while, most of the year, and then you shelf it with a promo. So we've been writing, of course. So we're looking to have some, again, new music, maybe first quarter next year sometime. Plus, we're working on our holiday song that we usually do each year, a brand new holiday song. So we're hoping to get that out by the beginning of December. So we're just going to ride it out and see what happens. Our hope is that some of these restrictions will lift and at least get us out there so we can be on the road for a few days, rather than kind of piecemeal it. It's just tough,
No, I know. Now, I was just going to ask you about the holiday stuff, too, because, counting the days I play all the time around this time of year for the last couple of years since it came out. And, it's rare to see a band writing original Christmas music, and not just like one-off song, a whole album. So, what do you have planned for this year? Is it going to just be a new song, or are you going to cover a traditional Christmas song, or?
No, we'll have a brand new song, all original. We're just going to release a single. We'll probably then have it part of a download of some of our other stuff that's happened in the past. So just to make give people something to people that hadn't heard it before. But we just have to finish up some vocals with it, and then it's going to go into final mixing and mastering. So we're hoping to have it. I'm hoping to have it done before Thanksgiving here, but we'll see what happens. We're playing with schedules. Again with all the different restrictions, everybody's kind of like half capacity.
Yeah, that's always a great thing. I mean, you have to actually release your Christmas songs now in August, because when you go to the stores in September, the Halloween stuff is gone. They already got the Christmas stuff out. It's a whole changing world today.
Exactly. I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
You go to buy Halloween stuff in September, it's already sold out. It's Christmas time. I'm like, holy cow, big change. But I'm glad that you're out there still doing this, Mick. I mean, Heroes Never Die on our records. You did an amazing job on this record. I can't wait to hear what you put out for Christmas this year, because I'm a big fan of the band. Always have been, always will be. And we got to do this again one day, man. Hopefully we'll be able to see you guys live here in New York City, within the next year or so.
Absolutely, man. Thank you so much for all your support. It's greatly appreciated.
You got it, Mick. Have a great day, my friend. Take care, and happy holidays.
You too, brother. You too.
Take care. Bye-bye.